Next up, I wanted to elaborate, I guess, on another sort of lighting condition. I'm kind of jumping back and forth here, guys, because I want you to understand that thought processes are not linear. And sometimes you'll start doing draft renders and then jump back in and start designing more and then jump back into draft renders. It's just a part of the process. So, theoretically, while that render is running and drafting, I'm going to start setting up the next light source. So the light source that I'm starting to consider now is part of my final product, which is a feature light that shines directly on the object that I'm trying to highlight, which in this case is this sphere. So we've got to create a light that's going to float in space and cast light on the sphere from somewhere inside of my view. So it's a little bit difficult. I'll show you what's difficult about it first, and then I'll show you what makes it tremendously easy. So first up, you know that these lights, just like all the ones that we modeled around the room already, are actual objects, which means they are planes. They have to be modeled and placed in the environment, and they basically just have a material applied to them with a direction. Well, the backside of that material is always going to just be a flat black surface. So what I'm going to do here is set up another layer. I'm going to call this one interior, I'll just call it spot. It won't really be a spotlight, but I'll just call it spot. And in order to generate this, I guess I'm just going to get a little bit freeform, I suppose. I really do hate rendered view. So I'm just going to create a little box somewhere. So I'll just do a little something like this. Whoops, I'm out of plane. Let me turn. Actually, so how many of you guys know what project is in Rhino? Just for project, the project function down here in your object snap settings. Okay, well that's actually really important. So for those of you who have learned it before and forgot, what that does is it projects the points that you select to the plane that you're trying to work on. And in the perspective views, the plane you're working on, your work plane, is always going to be the XY plane. That's, at the bottom of my model right now, right? It's going to be like down here where the blue thing is. So without project on, if I try to grab something and I don't really have any other object snaps on. Yeah, there we go. There's an object snap, got something there, something here. Well, what happens is that. Okay, that's because the object snap hit something that was behind the surface I was trying to draw on, and then I snapped into the XY plane for the other ones because it didn't have an object snap. So you would want to turn project on, and you're still going to have the issue with snaps kind of jumping, but at least it'll be a flat surface, so in case you hit something, I don't know, it's a little easier to control. See, if I go over there, it's going to still snap to something else. See, it jumped all the way over there. It doesn't completely mitigate the issue, but sometimes it's helpful. But anyway, so I'm going to draw this tiny little box right here. Tiny little one, like that. All right. And I'm just going to pretend like I took this thing and I created a table lamp somewhere in space, right? Or not even a table lamp, even just like a floor lamp that's shining light down on my object. Yeah, I'll kind of just put it mid height. You just got to make sure that you're rotating it in a way that's going to face the object. That's the important part. So double check which direction your surface is going. Mine's facing down. That's a little bit good for me at this stage. So I can rotate it on the green axis, kind of 15 or 20 degrees that way. And then I can rotate it around the red axis. Whoops, if I can even grab it. So laggy. Let me turn these shadows off too. Rotate it that way. And just kind of, float around till you can kind of see that the surface the blue axis is at least pointing mostly in the direction of the object itself. So that's the important part. That blue axis, the Z, that needs to be facing the object, which I guess that's probably close enough. You guys get what I mean? This one right here, this blue axis, that needs to be pointing at the object. So I'm going to get back into plane. All right, cool. So what you're seeing now is that little light exists in my space. It is facing the object like that. I probably will have to tweak it later. But I need to set an emitter for it. And this particular emitter needs to be pretty intense. Well, not tremendously intense, but different than these. Okay, so well, no, I won't do that because I don't want you to do that. Never mind. So just clone one of these materials. We're going to call this one Spotlight or something like that, or Feature Light, whatever you want to call it. Feature Light. I'm going to make this almost pure white, maybe a little on the blue scale. You can go a little more on the blue scale, I guess. And I'm going to bump up the wattage to like 600 watts and probably like 150 efficacy. Okay, so it's a little bit brighter, right? It's going to shine a lot more than the other one. Well, significantly more. So you can close that down, and let's just put that on the new layer, interior spot. Make sure that that object is on that layer. Currently, mine is on uplights, so I'll just switch it to interior spot. And then we can go ahead and do a quick draft. Okay, well I don't have to render the whole thing, but you can see a difference, right, between this and previous renders. Obviously there's more light in the scene. You can see that there is a specific light that shines kind of downward and to the right, and that's sort of what you're seeing here, right? You guys see that getting cut off? So that is essentially the same thing as what you're seeing in your preview. So that would be this right here, right? The feature light has a particular spread, and it's just going to kind of shine light however you want to, I guess, project it. So there are a few ways of handling that. You can change all the settings. You can up the wattage, decrease the efficacy. You can increase the efficacy. You can decrease the wattage. So that's kind of the sort of balancing act that we need to do and try and figure out which lights are going to work best for us in that scene. The other thing that you can do is actually model your light physically accurate, which means it actually has a housing. And the light needs to shine through, like, are you guys familiar with par cans? Par cans are these. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is in a light like this, the actual light source is recessed, which creates a spot. And if you recess your light into a spot condition, it's not going to create such a wide spread like you're seeing in this draft render. You're not going to get such a hard edge in the direction of that particular surface, right? Because what that's doing is it's taking this little black box that you're seeing here. That's the light, by the way, right? We see the back side of the light. And it's actually just kind of, it's shooting it out on all sides, and you can actually see the edge here. So that's not ideal, obviously. Sorry, I'm trying to get more balanced lighting. Anyway, so what we're going to do is try to figure out how to get that black box to turn off. So, but I will stop this video here unless there are any questions. No? Okay.